Today's video is sponsored by the folks over at MacPaw and its app CleanMyMac X. It's an all-in-one packed app that helps you keep your computer running as good as new by cleaning, optimizing, and removing unnecessary junk from your Mac. What is going on, guys? Joe here, back with another video, and this is the new 16-inch MacBook Pro Apple just released. Just like the recent AirPods Pro that came out about 2 weeks ago, there was no event announcing these products, but as rumors expected, the new 16-inch MacBook Pro is finally here. Also, if you haven't checked out my AirPods Pro video yet, definitely go watch it. I'll leave that link down below. But this new 16-inch MacBook Pro, from the looks of it, it is what many people wanted from a pro laptop machine. So in this video, I wanted to cover this new MacBook Pro and kind of compare it to what I've been using for several years actually now. So I guess this could be my impressions of the new 16-inch MacBook Pro. We'll get into more details on that because first I want to unbox this thing and see what we get inside of this new MacBook Pro. So opening up this big old box, it comes in, we get the new beastly 16-inch MacBook Pro, which I did go with a space gray model because space gray always looks nice. We also get some literature, and to go with the MacBook Pro, we get some color matching space gray Apple stickers. We also get a USB-C charging cable and a new 96-watt USB-C power adapter. Now this new machine is actually replacing the 15.4-inch MacBook Pro models, and fun fact about me is that I'm still actually using a late 2013 15.4-inch MacBook Pro, which may be hard to believe, but it's true. The one I use is still the older design, and over the past few years I actually have tried the new MacBook Pros, and I've always just went back to my 2013 because it didn't seem to wow me in performance. Now, of course, I never spec'd out those MacBook Pros I tried. I always just went with the base configuration models, and I even tried the latest 13-inch MacBook Pro that was released back in September because I also wanted something more portable. The size of a 13-inch MacBook Pro would have been amazing, but again, it didn't seem like a wow, this is definitely so much faster than my 2013. Don't get me wrong, it was faster and all, but wasn't something I could see myself keeping for the next few years like I did with my 2013 model. Now, when Apple released information about this new 16-inch MacBook Pro though, I was pretty impressed about the possible configuration and pricings for those configurations. I ended up going with one of the two base pre-configuration models, which I may still be regretting, but we'll see how it goes. This model is configured with a 2.3 GHz 8-core 9th generation Intel Core i9 processor, 16 GB of DDR4 RAM, an AMD Radeon Pro 5500M GPU with 4 GB of VRAM, and 1 TB of SSD storage. So this configuration is priced at $27.99, which in the past, for something similar to these pre-configurations, you would be spending over $3,000 for sure. And Apple has been generous enough to up the storage on this one because it comes with 1 TB of SSD storage. Usually you would have to pay a few extra $100 to get this 1 TB, but with this pre-configured model, you get it to begin with. Now with these new 16-inch MacBook Pros, you could configure it all the way up to 8 TB of SSD, which will cost you, but it is just crazy how you can get 8 TB now in a laptop, especially a MacBook. Now you can actually customize this model and max it out to its full potential on Apple's website, and that'll give you a small spec bump on the processor, but you can max it out to 64 GB of RAM, and also the GPU can be maxed out to 8 GB of VRAM and 8 TB of SSD storage. So all of that being maxed out would cost you about $6,100. But if you think you need all that power and storage, you can do that now on this latest 16-inch MacBook Pro. Before we continue, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's video, and that is CleanMyMac X. CleanMyMac X is an all-in-one app that helps you keep your Mac running just like it did on day one. It's actually an app I personally have been using on my Mac for several years and always recommend it. And with this latest version, it still gives you the necessary tools to keep your Mac up to speed, plus more great features. With a simple click of a button, it will start scanning your Mac for system junk, any unseen apps, or just hidden clutter. It also helps protect your Mac by removing malware and adware you may have been running on your Mac. Now, each Mac I have used in the past, especially when it's a brand new Mac like this 16-inch MacBook Pro, a tip when using CleanMyMac X is removing unnecessary languages that you won't be using. This will instantly free up several gigabytes of storage. Also, CleanMyMac X can help your apps stay up to date and fully uninstall apps the correct way from your Mac. You even have a useful menu that lets you quickly free up storage, free up RAM, check your battery, and also check your connected network speeds all through this quick little menu. So start cleaning up, speeding up, and protecting your Mac today by downloading CleanMyMac X using the link down below in the description. It's definitely a must-have app in my opinion if you are a Mac user. Now, some new changes to this 16-inch MacBook Pro is of course the 16-inch screen size. As I mentioned earlier, this is replacing the 15.4-inch MacBook Pros that are out now or were out. So you may be able to find some pretty good deals if you're interested in more of the 15.4-inch MacBook Pro. But on these new models, Apple has made the bezels around the screen slightly thinner, and if you do have the early 2019 15-inch MacBook Pro, this new 16-inch is just a tad thicker, wider, and heavier. Now, when I compare this to what I consider my old school 15.4-inch MacBook Pro, this 16-inch model is thinner, less wider, and weighs less. So to me, this is already looking like a nice upgrade from my OG MacBook Pro because of these three things, and it comes with a larger display. Now, speaking of the display, this new 16-inch has a 3072 by 1920 native resolution display with a pixel density of 226 pixels per inch. It can reach up to 500 nits of brightness, has a P3 wide color gamut, and True Tone technology that we've seen on iPhones. Aside from the resolution and PPI being greater on this new 16-inch MacBook Pro, the display, the brightness, wide color gamut, and True Tone remain the same from the most recent 2019 15-inch model. Now, a cool new feature added to this MacBook Pro is you can now set different refresh rates on the display. So if you want to match your content you're working on, you can set it across the system. This is a nice feature for those who do video editing or do photography work and things like that. So I will probably try this out when I'm using this machine. Now, with this being a laptop, you're more than likely expected to be mobile with it and take it place to place. So battery is something to consider, and this machine doesn't disappoint. It is packing a 100-watt battery, which is the largest battery Apple has put into a MacBook, and actually the max capacity the FAA will allow to carry on a plane. So Apple has maxed it out to those standards, so you won't have issues carrying this when on a trip. Now, this new 100-watt battery is expected to give you about 11 hours of battery life when web browsing and video playback, which is a bump up from previous MacBook Pros that would last about 10 hours. We'll see how many hours I can get pumping out video edits on the go, but I'm sure this new 100-watt battery won't disappoint. Now, ever since the MacBook Pros got a new design a few years ago, its redesigned butterfly mechanism keyboard has been having many issues, so the new 16-inch MacBook Pro has gotten a completely redesigned keyboard that Apple is calling the Magic Keyboard, which may sound familiar because that is the same name they used for the wireless Mac keyboard. Apple says this is inspired from that keyboard and features an Apple designed rubber dome with 1mm of key travel and a stable feel. So it does resemble a lot of that wireless Magic Keyboard for the Mac. So I'm really glad they went this route because it does feel nice when typing, gives you that clicky sound now. Because when I did try the other MacBooks in the past year or two, and those keyboards just felt really flat. So yeah, this new keyboard does have its nice improvements. Actually, the arrow keys resembles the OG MacBook Pro that had these inverted T arrangement arrow keys, because when the redesign happened a few years back, the arrow keys were also designed differently. So I guess it is a new / old keyboard upgrade, you could say. Along with this newly designed keyboard, you also still have the touch bar, which was presented a few years ago. And this gives you many new features and options when using apps and such. Now, the Touch ID is here as well, but it has become its standalone fingerprint reader / power button, so it no longer is attached to the touch bar as it used to be in the last few MacBook Pros. Also, if you have been using these later MacBook Pros with touch bar, you'll notice now there is a standalone escape key. And that's kind of a big deal for many because I know when I tried out the MacBook Pros with the touch bar, it was hard just trying to go back or just getting out of something by pressing that escape key because it was always hiding in different menus in the touch bar. I had to exit out and everything. I don't know. It just got annoying. And now that there's a physical standalone escape key, it's definitely going to be useful. Next to the keyboard, you get the speakers, which are going to be the newest set of speakers for the 16-inch MacBook Pro. It has a 6-speaker sound system with dual force canceling woofers, and Apple is saying it's dramatically going to reduce the system vibration for a more cleaner, more natural sound. And just from first impressions of listening to this for a few hours, it definitely does sound good. So the Apple audio team did a really excellent job. Now, another thing Apple is improving on this new MacBook Pro is the microphones. So these new microphones are set to be studio quality, and they have a 3-mic array. So it's supposed to rival third-party professional microphones. But during the past few seconds of this video, you may have noticed a difference in my voice, and that's because I'm trying out these actual microphones directly from this new MacBook Pro. Apple is saying that these are going to be great for people that do podcasts or want to record music on the go. But for people like myself that edit video and do voiceovers, this mic might suffice and do the job. If I need something real quick and maybe need to record something again, then I can just do it with this microphone. But what do you think? Do you think this would be good for that type of work? For sure, I could see this being great for FaceTime calls, but if you don't have a microphone and this is all you have, this might do the job. Now, you still get the same massive Force Touch trackpad on the MacBook Pro. Ever since they did the redesign on the MacBooks, you get the big old trackpads. And coming from the 2013 model, this is a pretty big difference. It's pretty much the same size as the Wireless Magic trackpad I've been using here, but built into the MacBook Pro. Now, while the changes Apple has made from the most recent 15-inch to this new 16-inch MacBook Pro are definitely something many have asked for, there's still some minor things Apple hasn't upgraded or changed. For one, it still has a 720p camera on it, which I had on the 2013 MacBook Pro. I wish they could at least bump this up just a little bit, maybe improve it to a 1080p camera. Even though I hardly use this, it would be a nice upgrade to have, especially on a Pro machine. And also things like iPhones have had such higher quality cameras for a few years now, and they can now shoot up to 4K video. I'm sure once Face ID makes its way to these MacBooks, we'll finally see that upgraded camera, hopefully. Now, as far as I/O on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, there's not much that has changed from recent MacBooks, but it does have a headphone jack along with 4 Thunderbolt 3 USB-C ports, which over the years I have been transitioning things to USB-C. But if this is going to be my main machine going forward, it is going to be hard to know I have to carry dongles and adapters now, because as you could tell, it doesn't have an SD card slot, which is what I use a lot, especially for these videos on my OG MacBook Pro. Also, I use an external monitor every time I get home, which is an older Thunderbolt monitor. I actually have an adapter for that already that I've been using. But if you have any suggestions on some adapters you recommend, definitely let me know below in the comments. Also, this new MacBook Pro does not have Wi-Fi 6 built in, which the new iPhone 11 does. So if you have been upgrading your wireless internet game to Wi-Fi 6, this MacBook Pro won't be able to take advantage of those higher speeds, unfortunately. Now, lastly, those who utilize these MacBook Pros for extensive pro work and push these machines to its limits, there were some thermal issues in recent generations of the MacBook Pros causing throttling when under those conditions. So Apple has listened and addressed these issues with this new 16-inch MacBook Pro because it now has improved and redesigned thermals. But overall, this is the new MacBook Pro 16-inch. Some necessary upgrades have been made, and I'm pretty pumped to give this a go and use it as my editing machine. Still not sure if I went the right way by just choosing a pre-configuration model. Maybe doubling the RAM to 32 gigabytes and having that extra little 4 gigabytes of VRAM added to this machine might be what I need. We'll just have to give this one a shot and use it as my machine. But what are your thoughts on this new MacBook Pro? Is this the type of specs you've been waiting for on a MacBook? I'd like to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you're interested in a different kind of video for this MacBook Pro, let me know in the comments as well. But as always, if you did enjoy this video, go ahead and hit that like button down below, as it not only lets me know that you enjoyed it, but it also shows support to the channel. If you're not yet following on social media like Instagram, Twitter, and things like that, feel free to give me a follow. And lastly, if you feel like being awesome, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time I drop a new video. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate your support very much, but I'll catch you all on the next one. All right, peace.